Tonight, thousands caught up in a crowd crush in the city as 500,000 partygoers ring in the new year. 15 people injured in a backyard blast in Melbourne's northeast, the latest live. A hero tradie rescues a mum after rogue fireworks tear through her Mornington Peninsula home. Victorian holidaymakers facing a flood emergency on the Gold Coast. Princess Mary soon to be Queen of Denmark after a shock abdication. And David Warner fights back tears before calling it quits.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Mike Amor starts now.
Good evening. Melbourne's public transport network has been pushed to breaking point during wild New Year's Eve celebrations. 500,000 people packed the city, but many were forced to spend the start of 2024 caught in a dangerous crowd crush.
Surprisingly, Metro appeared surprised by the predicted 500,000 strong crowd. Straight after the midnight fireworks, concourses at Flinders Street and Southern Cross stations were jam-packed. Thousands here like sardines, unable to move for an hour. Metro workers overwhelmed. Passengers frustrated, some distressed.
It's okay. Come on, take him. I'm going to take you. I'm going to take you.
One insider who contacted us said it was not the staff's fault, claiming Metro's crowd control training was woefully inadequate and requests for loud hailers were refused.
That's no good. I mean, they need to keep crowds moving through the station.
Watching our vision angered the Public Transport Users Association.
This is arguably the biggest public transport event of the year. They really need to be on their A game, and it seems like they've misstepped last night and they really should do better.
We have a range of footage, a range of analysis that we always sit down and do. We always work out how we can improve, and that's what we'll do after last night.
Police describe the huge crowd as mostly well behaved. They're investigating an alleged assault and an alleged glassing, both in the city. Statewide, 33 arrests for assaults and drugs and weapons offences. 4 people caught drink driving, 15 drug driving.
I'm really pleased to report to you all that overwhelmingly it's been a very safe and enjoyable evening for most members of our community.
Palestinian protesters added to the crush, trying to block Flinders Street. The fireworks themselves cost $4.5 million, but they're expected to generate 5 times that for city businesses. Already, 2024, a year of firsts.
We've never been up to midnight before. Me either.
Nick McCallum, 7 News.
15 people have been injured in a backyard explosion at a house party in Melbourne's northeast. Jacqueline Stanley has the latest from Mill Park. And Jack, the blast triggered a big emergency response.
Mike, a backyard birthday celebration on New Year's Eve almost turned deadly when a party goer threw a chemical onto a fire. 15 people were injured, 1 critically, while 8 suffered burns so severe they were rushed to the Alfred Hospital. The surprise birthday party ended with more than a dozen people in hospital.
And before we know it, did you see this big bang? Oh, I was completely shocked. I had no idea what happened.
The backyard of this Mill Park home went up in flames after a chemical was poured onto a fire.
He was excited. I think it was a charcoal spit that he was going to put on. They were partying and then all of a sudden everything stopped.
15 people were injured, including a man in his 30s with critical burns. 8 others, including a teenage girl, were taken to hospital. 4 were treated on scene for burns.
Something like 10 ambulances and then 4 fire trucks and about 6 police cars.
Yeah, lovely family. And they're family people as well, but I just hope they're doing it right.
Today, loved ones helped in the clean-up, removing blankets left behind by paramedics. Tonight, 10 people remain in hospital. Jacqueline Stanley, 7 News.
In breaking news, it's been a tragic start to the year on Victoria's beaches with the body of a man pulled from the water at Anglesea on the Surf Coast. Police have been told he appeared to be having difficulty in the ocean off Hutt Gully Beach just before 2:30 this afternoon. He's yet to be identified. A hero tradie has dragged a Mornington Peninsula mum from her burning home just seconds after a rogue firework crashed through her bedroom window. Police say it was one of more than 50 incidents involving illegal pyrotechnics across the state.
The quick-thinking hero risked his life to save another.
I had to get her out, so I just reached through the window, grabbed her, there was things blowing up everywhere, and then dragged her out. Well, she was just saying, all my wheelchairs have burnt, everything's gone.
Police say neighbours on Alma Street set off illegal fireworks and flares at midnight. Within seconds, the bedroom was fully engulfed. John Croft was driving home with his children and sprung into action.
There was no time to hesitate. It was just get in and try and help this lady.
The 57-year-old woman is recovering in hospital with burns, her daughter thanking the hero tradie for his bravery.
So lucky, thank you so much, and really appreciate it. Yeah, very lucky. I'm very grateful he did that.
It was one of 57 illegal fireworks incidents across the state.
We had a 48-year-old woman at Altona seriously injured, receiving very, very serious facial injuries. Firework exploded and she may lose an eye.
Police are warning anyone caught using illegal fireworks can face hefty penalties, including up to 15 years in jail and thousands of dollars in fines.
If you're prepared to play with those illegal fireworks, be prepared for the consequences of that.
Ainsley Kosh, 7 News.
Melbourne's New Year celebrations are in full swing as we go to air. Kate Massey is at St Kilda for us tonight. Kate, thousands are making the most of the summer sun.
They are, Mike. Several thousand people are here tonight for one of Melbourne's biggest New Year's Day parties. They're enjoying the ideal conditions here. There is a stellar lineup of DJs to help keep the party going, although it will probably end a little earlier than it did last night. It's become a tradition to host the party here in St Kilda, a good way to recover from last night or to keep the party going.
New Year's celebrations showing few signs of slowing down.
Happy New Year!
As thousands plan to keep partying well into the night. The most expensive tickets here, $3,500 for a VIP rooftop booth. At the Royal Women's, Kareen and Ori's New Year's looked a little different, spent in hospital, their baby girl among the firstborn in Victoria.
We made our way to the Royal Women's, I think around 1 a.m. We saw all the party goers on their way home while we were coming in.
Their journey not easy, arriving in Melbourne just 9 weeks ago from war-torn Tel Aviv.
Unfortunately, when war broke out, it didn't feel safe, so we left and we actually managed to get on the DFAT flight.
Across Melbourne, many spent the day recovering for different reasons, tired and hungover, while others made the most of the sunshine, barbecuing in the Botanical Gardens and walking off last night's liquor.
We all were in our pyjamas or nighties and did dancing.
The new year bringing with it new resolutions.
I'm trying not to swear as much.
Oh, do you? I don't.
Try and live in the moment more.
The clean-up across the city continuing throughout the day, packing up after last night's light show. While from Sydney, pictures of the annual Harbour Spectacular are showcasing Australia to the world. Up to 1 million people clamouring for vantage points to witness the 20-minute show. Kate Massey, 7 News.
A retired Brighton doctor has been attacked after trying to help a stranger outside his Bayside home. Police say the 76-year-old found the man unconscious on Bay Street around 6:15 this morning. When the doctor tried to assist, the 29-year-old lashed out, assaulting him and smashing a window at his home. The accused has been arrested. Victorian holidaymakers on the Gold Coast are caught up in Queensland's second natural disaster in less than a week. More than half a metre of rain has fallen in some parts, with dozens rescued and almost 15,000 people without power.
Less than a week on from a Christmas deluge, there's a new life-threatening emergency on the Gold Coast. Violent electrical storms lighting up the night sky, causing intense rainfall and a flooding crisis. Up to 1/2 metre of torrential rain inundating the Gold Coast right down to Coffs Harbour.
We're only lucky that we haven't had any serious injuries or fatalities.
Flash flood waters raged through the suburbs. This woman rescued from the roof of her car, while New Year holiday makers also stranded after campgrounds became swamped.
I woke up to flashing lights into my tent and then a tree fell on it. I was probably 50 metres down a river, wedged in a tree.
More than 100 rescued by boat and taken to dry ground.
Oh my God. I don't even know if we're going to be able to get out.
Theme parks including Dreamworld, Movie World and Whitewater World all shut down due to safety concerns. Thrill seekers turned away at the gate.
Yeah, we didn't realise it was shut.
Frustrated because the weekend of friends. Want to go to the park today.
And Sonia Marinelli, the weather's about to turn in Melbourne too.
Yes, Mike, we are enjoying a settled start to the new year, but this weather does not last. Tomorrow it is our turn for yet another statewide rain and thunderstorm event. These storms could turn severe with the potential for heavy rainfall, hail, as well as damaging winds. I'll have more details later on, Mike.
Son, see you soon. Thank you. Australian-born Crown Princess Mary of Denmark will become the country's queen in just 2 weeks as husband Frederick ascends to the throne. In a televised New Year's Day address in Denmark's Queen Margrethe shocked her nation, announcing her abdication after 52 years as monarch.
20 years after a fairy tale wedding, former Miss Mary Donaldson will become Queen of Denmark after her mother-in-law's New Year's Eve surprise.
I have decided that now is the right time. On the 14th of January 2024, 52 years after I succeeded my beloved father, I will step down as Queen of Denmark. I will hand over the throne to my son, Crown Prince Frederick.
He will become King Frederick X. Mary, his queen, sending a buzz through her hometown of Hobart.
Oh, good on a good Tassie girl.
Next roll up, next step up. Yeah. Perfect.
Oh, that's good, very good.
I suppose she's been in waiting, so it's good.
Fabulous. Well done her.
Queen Margrethe underwent back surgery in February last year. A widely beloved, chain-smoking, history-making monarch, currently the longest reigning sovereign among Europe's royal households after the death of Queen Elizabeth. Now the first Danish monarch to abdicate. It will happen on January 14. Denmark's government will meet to formally name Frederick as king. The declaration made at Copenhagen's Christiansborg Palace. There'll be no grand coronation, but plenty of congratulations already. The Tasmanian Premier says, with her demonstrated humility, grace and kindness, I'm sure Crown Princess Mary will be embraced as Queen alongside her husband, King Frederick. Princess Mary is a wonderful ambassador for Tasmania.
Wow, Tasmanian Queen. Well done to her.
Mary and family are regular visitors home, mostly for holidays, always relaxed and low-key. Here she is with her twins just before Christmas. But from now on, they'll be state visits with all the protection and protocol that goes with being a king and queen. In London, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
The US has destroyed 3 boats manned by Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in the Red Sea. They'd been attempting to hijack a commercial container ship. The captain of the Danish-owned ship issued a distress call before helicopters from nearby American warships responded, firing upon and sinking the boats. The Albanese government has blocked the release of national security records which detail Australia's decision to commit troops to the US-led invasion of Iraq 20 years ago. A review is underway as cabinet records from 2003 are made public for the first time.
Dominating the world stage, the war in Iraq had a firm grip on politics in Australia. This was 2003, a bloody and brutal invasion in the Middle East, the perceived threat of weapons of mass destruction driving decision-making at the time.
So there was a feeling of, I wouldn't say out of control, but we didn't know whether, was Australia about to be attacked?
After 9/11 and the Bali bombings, Australia joined the US at war.
Slightly unnerving because you don't know what the future holds and where that thread might lead.
The UN Secretary-General deemed the invasion illegal.
War must always be a last resort.
These are the cabinet documents from 2003, 20 years old, and only made public today.
And these records in particular, I think, are important just purely because of what was occurring both within Australia and around the world at the time.
Australia sent troops despite nationwide protests and without a cabinet submission on the costs and benefits of going to war.
Howard wants the issue to be handled by himself, so he makes these oral submissions. It was being discussed in granular detail by the National Security Committee.
The mastermind behind the reign of terror, Saddam Hussein, captured in December that year.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
But weapons of mass destruction were never found.
I suspect he'd actually got rid of them.
There's a lot missing from these records. Documents from the National Security Committee haven't been made public. And that's where former Prime Minister John Howard made some of his biggest decisions regarding the war. The contents of 32 meetings and 206 submissions shrouded in secrecy.
At the moment, we don't hold any of those records from the 2003 period.
The long-term consequences of the war more clear. Isabel Mullen, 7 News.
A tearful David Warner has dropped a fresh retirement bombshell on the eve of his last Test match. The 37-year-old is also calling it quits in one-day cricket, bringing an end to one of the most explosive careers of all time.
Giving back time to his family, David Warner calling stumps on his Test career.
To be here, 112 Tests I think it is, coming out for the last time, it's still pinching myself.
That announcement came as no surprise, but his next did.
I'm definitely retiring from one-day cricket as well.
Warner says he'd pencilled in retiring ahead of last year's second Ashes Test at Lords. Instead, alongside childhood mate and opening partner Usman Khawaja, Warner says he gets a fairy tale ending on his home ground.
A boy from Housing Commission having a dream. I've not always fitted the mould, but I've been authentic and honest.
But a career that hit its lowest point following Sandpaper Gate and a 12-month ban, costing Warner leadership roles. Today, he says, there are no regrets.
You have to move forward, and I've done that with dignity. I've come back.
Concentrating now on T20 and cricket commentary.
So hopefully he can go out on a high. Be great to see him get 100 here in front of his home crowd.
David Warner says he hopes to finish his Test career as part of an Australian whitewash over Pakistan. But here at the SCG this week, the most important colour is pink. The 16th annual Pink Test, raising money for breast cancer.
Probably the biggest sporting charity partnership anywhere in the world.
With the most ambitious targets yet, funding 250 breast cancer nurses to support patients like Christy Wales, diagnosed at just 26.
Found a lump and then a week later you get told it's breast cancer, which is just shocking, and it really just kind of tears your wealth apart.
The New Year Test. All we need is for the rain to stay away. Chris Marr, 7 News.
Abbey Gelmi is here now. Happy New Year's Eve. Abbey, the Stars are making their move in the Big Bash.
Right back to you, Mike. And it took a record-breaking performance as the Stars returned to form with a bang against the Strikers. Also, new mum Naomi Osaka back to her winning ways. Taylor Swift rings in the new year with the Kansas City Chiefs, as you do, and there were some pitchside fireworks from Ange Postecoglou in the Premier League. It's all coming up.
All right, see you soon. Thanks, Abs. An innocent Geelong woman has been attacked at random in a frightening home invasion that sparked a wild chain of events. Details next. Also ahead on 7 News, a truckie charged over a split-second decision that killed 2 train drivers on the border. Melbourne shoppers caught in a tense standoff over a prime parking spot. A 17th century French castle torn apart in a fire emergency. And later, how balancing your blood sugar levels could help shed the New Year's kilos. A shopping centre parking stoush has erupted between a driver and woman trying to reserve a space at High Point in Melbourne's west. The driver didn't hesitate to turn into the empty park, forcing the woman to move out of the way. An innocent Geelong woman has been attacked in a random home invasion. Neighbours found her badly injured on the nature strip after a crime spree that spanned more than 10 kilometres.
This man is accused of breaking into a woman's home while she slept, assaulting her with a baton and stealing her car, before speeding away and crashing into 3 separate garages 12 kilometres away.
Just rammed straight into the roller door and then he just sat there in the car, playing the music, revving the car.
After waking up to the armed man standing in her bedroom, the 35-year-old victim was hit over the head but managed to run from her Grovedale home to find help. Good Samaritan Kate found her neighbour covered in blood, lying on the nature strip.
She was so scared, and then she stand there and with a scary face, and she has the broken head and bleeding on her whole head.
The random attack prompted a manhunt before Bodie Edwards alerted police to him in Hamlin Heights.
Me and the missus got woken up by a couple of big crashes, started doing more doughies around here and then just parked it straight back into the roller door.
We thought, oh my goodness, it's probably left us a bit shaken as well.
Witnesses say as soon as the man heard the police sirens approaching, he jumped out of the stolen car and tried to hide in nearby bushes.
He didn't do a good job. He only hid. As soon as they pulled up, he thought, oh, maybe I'll go hide.
The victim remains in hospital with serious head injuries. Cassie Zervos, 7 News.
One person has suffered serious burns and another's had a heart attack after a fire broke out in an apartment block in Sydney's north. It's believed to have been triggered by an explosion and quickly engulfed the top floor unit, forcing residents to be evacuated.
I could hear the popping and the cracking, and then all I could see was just all of this like timber coming down.
I heard a woman scream really loud.
The 5th-storey apartment was destroyed. A 75-year-old truckie has been charged with causing a deadly train derailment on the border between South Australia and New South Wales. 2 train drivers were killed in the collision, with a giant crane brought in to clear the scene.
Trapped beneath this chaotic, mangled mess, 2 victims of a collision with brutal force. Police will allege a 75-year-old Queenslander caused this disaster when his truck crossed into the train's path on the Barrier Highway, 100 kilometres from Broken Hill. The crash killing 57-year-old grandfather Kevin Baker. His sister Wendy telling 7 News, "We are gutted by his loss." Also killed his Port Augusta colleague, 48-year-old Mick Warren, buried together under the wreckage.
If the lights are flashing, you don't even think about crossing the rail line.
The impact of this collision was so great, police say the road surface was damaged and needed to be ticked off by safety inspectors before reopening.
The Barrier Highway remains closed and it will do for some time. It's a complex scene.
It's already been blocked for more than 30 hours, shutting Broken Hill's quickest route to Adelaide. Drivers instead have to travel via Mildura, adding nearly 2 hours to the trip.
Over 15 million crossings a year and almost no incidents. That tells you that the great bulk of drivers get this right all the time.
The truck driver's facing 2 counts of death by dangerous driving and will face court in Port Pirie tomorrow. Tom Johnson, 7 News.
A castle dating back to the 17th century has been badly damaged by fire in the northwest of France. The flames tore through the roof with around 100 fire crews racing to bring the blaze under control and prevent the building from collapsing. The castle, which was heritage listed in the 1950s, has been abandoned for more than a decade. Australian sport has been rocked by a road tragedy that's left a 2-time Olympian dead and her husband facing shock charges. Also ahead on 7 News, tributes for fearless Australian journalist and filmmaker John Pilger. A sea monster discovery draws high praise from Sir David Attenborough. And from London to New York, see how the rest of the world rang in the new year. House values across Melbourne fell in the last 2 months of 2023, but still recorded an annual increase of 3.5%. It's below the national average of 8%. The nation's biggest jump was in Perth at 15%. Regional Victoria took a hit with values down 1.6%. Renting is getting more expensive in Melbourne, with prices for houses and units both up around 11%. Shock new details are coming to light on a tragedy that's rocked Australian cycling. Police are now investigating if two-time Olympian Melissa Hoskins climbed onto the bonnet of her husband's ute in a desperate bid to stop the fellow cycling champion from driving away.
She was a cycling great, a two-time Olympian and former world champion. But today Melissa Hoskins is being remembered as a beautiful soul.
I don't think I have cried so hard and so loud for so long in all my life. It's probably the most shocking news I've ever received.
Tributes have poured in for the 32-year-old from across the globe. Track cycling great and former Olympic teammate Anna Mears posting, "This is a very difficult time." While from Oz Cycling, Melissa, a mother, daughter and wife, was also a champion cyclist who thrilled and inspired. Her young life was cut short after being hit just metres from her multi-million-dollar home in Medindie on Saturday night. Her husband and the father of her two young children, Rowan Dennis, behind the wheel, now charged with death by dangerous driving.
From the moment she started dating Rowan, she committed 100% to all of the troubles and difficulties that he went through in his career.
7 News understands that one version of events may be that there was an argument and she was trying to stop the car by climbing onto the bonnet before she was hit and killed. Today, the Tour Down Under announced the former winner and now retired champion cyclist Rowan Dennis would not be at this year's event. While he awaits court, devastated loved ones are coming to terms with her loss.
I love you, Mel. You were special. One of a kind.
Hannah Ford, 7 News.
An Australian father fighting for life after a moped crash in Bali has been given the all clear to fly home for emergency treatment. 24-year-old Kevin Mulligan had been holidaying on the Indonesian island just weeks before the birth of his second child when he fell off the bike and hit his head. A GoFundMe campaign to bring Mr Mulligan home has raised almost $85,000. Pioneering journalist and filmmaker John Pilger has died at the age of 84. The Australian storyteller rose to prominence covering the atrocities of Pol Pot's regime in Cambodia and more recently campaigned for the rights of Palestinians in Gaza.
For half a century, he brought the front line into global living rooms.
This is bomb damage in Gaza.
Reporting the stories behind the stories.
And this is the front line less than 50 miles from the capital, Phnom Penh.
John Pilger's reports were special, and without exception, he advocated for the little guy.
Almost 1 million Palestinians are trapped behind electrified barbed wire and roadblocks.
War zones, international politics, an ardent critic of Western foreign policy and champion for Julian Assange.
The aim was to silence and criminalise WikiLeaks.
He wanted to tell truth to power in a way that many journalists didn't.
Pilger won an Emmy Award, a BAFTA, an advocate for Indigenous Australians at a time it was not fashionable.
Australia is a secret country with a secret history.
And his work on thalidomide deformities helped secure compensation for victims.
Go into people's lives, being able to go and find out what the hell is going on is a huge privilege.
The Maverick journo's family says his work was celebrated around the world. He was 84. Robert Ovadia, 7 News.
Sir David Attenborough has praised archaeologists after they risked their lives to retrieve the skull of a sea monster the size of a bus from a cliff face in England.
We were faced with the problem of getting out a fossil of the head, which would be about half a tonne, halfway up a steep cliff, which itself is crumbling away. And if you drop it and break it, it is a major catastrophe.
The fossil is one of the most complete of its kind, and its discovery will feature in Attenborough's new documentary airing in the UK tonight. Cities all over the world have celebrated the start of 2024 with spectacular light displays. Landmarks came alive for the worldwide party, bringing hope for the year ahead.
Welcoming in a new year of opportunity. New York City alive with confetti raining down on the biggest crowd Times Square has seen since 2019. 1 million people packing in to watch the ball drop at midnight. Across the globe, skies glittered with celebrations. Qatar a spectacle for the senses. Nearby in Dubai, the Burj Khalifa was beaming from every angle. Hong Kong producing its largest light show ever, Victoria Harbour, a kaleidoscope of colour. Athens ushering in the new year as fireworks flared over ancient landmarks. Paris partying into 2024, the City of Light, living up to its name. But for war-torn Gaza, midnight flares and explosions, despite prayers for peace in 2024. A survivor of the Kharkiv missile in Ukraine says, "This is our new year, fighting back tears." In Kenya, celebrations turned to panic as fireworks set a Nairobi skyscraper ablaze. Young men in Berlin dicing with danger, sending fireworks into crowds. A special message lit up the night sky in London. A worldwide party where everyone has a ticket. In the United States, Jacqueline Robson, 7 News.
Identical twins say they've cracked the weight loss code. Up next, the simple change to help shed those New Year's kilos. Also ahead on 7 News, illness forces Paddy Newton off stage. The shock tactics a tourist hotspot is going to keep visitors away. And 2 Melbourne teens on the trip of a lifetime to help children half a world away. A driver's been airlifted to hospital after crashing his four-wheel drive into a power pole at Bayswater North. All eastbound lanes of Canterbury Road had to be closed as emergency services worked to clear the scene. The driver is in the Alfred Hospital with life-threatening injuries. A case of COVID has forced Paddy Newton to miss the opening night of Grease the Musical. Paddy posted on social media saying Happy New Year and wishing the cast an amazing first show. She shared a picture in her slippers with a blanket with her late husband Bert's face on it. Paddy has promised to be back at Her Majesty's Theatre soon. Victorians with new fitness goals in 2024 are being urged to ditch fad diets for a healthier lifestyle. Celebrity coach Samantha Jackson helped Mel Gibson shed the kilos. Tonight, she's sharing her tips to lose weight.
They're the 45-year-old identical twins who battled with an identical problem.
I just reached probably rock bottom as far as like how we were feeling about ourselves, didn't we? Yeah.
Trainer Samantha Jackson, who helped movie star Mel Gibson shed the kilos, put the twins on a program, eating 5 meals a day and exercising for 30 minutes. After 8 weeks, each dropped 7 kilos and gained energy.
What they've lost between them is 77 centimetres, and if you're wondering what that looks like, it's that. That is how much they have lost off of their body measurements.
That includes 13 centimetres each off their waists. The secret, balancing blood sugar by eating a meal of protein, carbs and good fats every 3 hours.
They've balanced their blood sugar. So eating their protein and their carbs together means that they're not getting the peaks and the drops during the day. Everything is really nice and balanced.
Nat and Mandy also underwent a scan to look at the toxic fat around their organs. Anything above around 500 grams puts you at risk of disease like diabetes, cancer, heart disease and stroke.
Your visceral adipose tissue, so that toxic belly fat that's sitting behind your abdominal wall, in your last scan was over 700 grams. Now we're looking at 590. Yes!
Chantel Tui, 7 News.
It's one of the most visited places in Europe, but Venice is now taking steps to reduce the impacts of tourism as locals flee the canal city in droves. From June, it's banning loudspeakers and tour groups of more than 25 people. Over-tourism is an urgent issue for the city, which is visited by tens of millions of people every year. 2 Melbourne teenagers are embarking on a life-changing journey across Australia. The avid birdwatchers are using their passion for the great outdoors to raise desperately needed money for children in East Timor.
Final hugs from Mum.
Safe, yes.
As two teens set off on the trip of a lifetime.
This is for filming the birds we see, but also the trip. So we're hoping to make a documentary when we return from the trip.
The 18-year-olds are putting university on hold for a 20,000-kilometre journey around Australia.
Leo's had this idea as sort of a pipe dream for probably about 10 years.
Kind of interested in birds and thought it'd be cool to do a year just looking for them.
The goal, to raise enough money to build a school in East Timor.
A full school would cost 100,000 Australian dollars, which we think is definitely reasonable within the course of the year. We'll be raising money through our website. We've got an Instagram page up and running called Two Birders, Two Bikes.
Having this support to build an additional school will impact the lives of hundreds of children.
I got some apples. Mum's bought 4 bags of snakes to start the trip.
More rice. Plan is to be in kind of Brisbane in 20 days.
But the trip is set to last all year. And here they go, the first kilometre of many on a massive journey right around the country, sent off with all the love of family and friends.
Slightly nervous that things would go wrong, but I think we'll be able to figure it out.
Jacqueline Stanley, 7 News.
Good luck to them. Abbey Gelmi is here with sport. And Abbey, a double retirement for David Warner today.
Well, Mike, it's the end of an era in one-day cricket as well. Coming up next, Aussie opener's bold stance in the darkest days of his career. The Stars with a spring in their step after putting on a New Year's Eve show. Naomi Osaka makes her long-awaited return while it was party time in the West, and Ange Postecoglou's fiery end to 2023. Welcome back. Aussie opener David Warner has fought back tears ahead of his Test farewell on Wednesday. The 37-year-old also made a shock announcement on his one-day future while reflecting on the lowest point of his career.
A family affair for the Warners, hand in hand on Dad's beloved SCG.
I'm feeling great. It's a great decision I think I made. You know, I've got to give back to the family.
As Dashing Dave prepares to don the baggy green for one last time, came this announcement about his one-day future following Australia's thrilling World Cup win.
I'll make that decision today as well to retire from those forms.
For now, the focus is squarely on a series sweep in Wednesday's third Test against Pakistan, the 112th of Warner's decorated career, and a fitting fairy tale ending alongside longtime teammate Usman Khawaja.
When you're childhood friends and you get to go out here at the SCG as kids, as you know, dreaming big, it's a great fitting. I'm loving that.
No stranger to controversy, Warner admits he's come a long way since the 2018 South African sandpaper saga.
I've got no regrets. You have to move forward, and I've done that with dignity.
The modern-day Master Blaster retires 5th on Australia's all-time Test run-scoring list behind Ricky Ponting, Alan Border, Steve Waugh and Steve Smith. His one-day record is equally as impressive, 6,932 runs, the 6th most. His 22 tonnes, second only to punter. But that record might not be set in stone just yet, with the 2025 Champions Trophy in Pakistan still on the radar.
And I'm around and, you know, they need someone, I'm going to be available.
Theo Doropoulos, 7 News.
Marcus Stoinis has returned to form in the Big Bash, smashing a half-century to lead the Stars to victory over the Strikers. The record run chase helping rescue Melbourne's season.
Kicking off the new year with a pep in their step, the Stars' season is well and truly back on track thanks to Marcus Stoinis.
Stoinis finishes this game in style.
It feels like the Stars of old might be coming back, so it's a nice feeling.
He entered the match with just 30 runs for the tournament this season and didn't want to wait until midnight for the fireworks.
Absolutely superb. Slashes him over cover for 6.
His 50 came off just 19 balls, a new outlook on his game providing a fresh change.
Probably at the moment for my cricket, I was just saying to one of the coaches, it's been a bit unemotional for the last sort of little bit. I think it's been on a bit of the hamster wheel, so I think I probably haven't enjoyed it as much as I should. Probably hadn't been as diligent with my preparation and that sort of thing, so had a word to myself and put in some just did the things that I know I need to do.
Chasing the Strikers 205, it was a franchise record run chase. Bo Webster held strong at the other end with 66. It's now 3 wins in a row. Tomorrow night they can do more damage to crosstown rivals, the Renegades, at the MCG.
These derbies or derbies, whatever we want to call them, in Melbourne are always special.
Tim Hipsley, 7 News.
New mum Naomi Osaka has made a winning return to tennis. The 4-time major champion hadn't played since September 2022, but breezed past her German opponent at the Brisbane International.
Game, set, match, Osaka.
The last couple years that I played before, I had my daughter, I didn't return as much love as I was given, so I really feel like that's what I want to do in this chapter.
Rafael Nadal lost a doubles match to Aussies Jordan Thompson and Max Purcell. While in the United Cup, Novak Djokovic was in the firing line before leading Serbia to a win over China just before midnight. Then he led the New Year's celebrations. There were fireworks of a different kind for Ange Postecoglou in the Premier League. Tottenham secured a 3-1 win over Bournemouth, moving them to within just...
Together and wish each other a happy new year, mate, and made some resolutions.
Yeah, I bet they did. Arsenal again blew a chance to go top, losing to Fulham 2-1. And Taylor Swift spent New Year's Eve cheering on boyfriend Travis Kelce and the Chiefs. Kansas City defeating Cincinnati 25-17, clinching their 8th straight divisional title.
Touchdown, Kansas City! Pacheco on the receiving end.
MVP favourite Lamar Jackson threw 5 touchdowns as the Baltimore Ravens beat Miami, helping to secure top seed in their conference with another week still to go before the playoffs. I mean, if the Chiefs make the Super Bowl, does she have to perform?
Yeah, it wouldn't be the NFL without Tay-Tay, would it?
Surely.
Thanks, Ab. Sonia Marinelli joins me now with the weather details for the first week of the new year. And Son, the sunshine doesn't last long.
It doesn't, Mike. Unfortunately, Victoria is back in the firing line. Your full forecast coming up next. Hello again and Happy New Year to you at home. It was always going to be a great one when the weather is as spectacular as this. We are under glorious sunshine. And for those still celebrating the feel-good conditions, roll on for at least another few hours. But, and that is a very big but, rain and thunderstorms are set to return over the next couple of days. I'll have more on that in a moment. City was at its best overnight with settled conditions and a clear view of the midnight fireworks, the New Year sun rising on a perfect summer's day. The city started on 13 degrees, reaching a top of 23, a little cooler than forecast thanks to an afternoon sea breeze. However, away from the bay, the temperature climbed higher. It got to 30 degrees in Viewbank. Northern Victoria is under warmer winds with temperatures there reaching the mid-30s right down along the Murray. It's much cooler in some parts of the coast, but we've all kicked off the new year dry and mostly sunny. The party weather continues tonight. The city nice and calm and relatively warm. We've got an overnight low of 17 degrees. But there is severe weather brewing. Rain and thunderstorms are forecast to spread across the state tomorrow, intensifying over southern Victoria on Wednesday. We're going to have all the ingredients for heavy rain, hail and damaging winds. That system could dump up to 9 millimetres in the city on Tuesday, but up to 20 during Wednesday, so a wet day. And it's going to feel warm and it's going to feel muggy under those storms for at least the next few days. But that does all clear out to a dry, hot stretch as we head into the weekend. Okay, around the nation tomorrow, and storms and showers will continue to batter parts of Queensland and New South Wales as intense heat continues to build across the north and the west. Here in Victoria, we'll see showers and thunderstorms spread in from the north and west, possibly severe with locally heavy falls. Those cells could also generate hail and damaging winds. Otherwise, we're looking at a generally warm and humid Tuesday with sunny breaks at times. Skies turn cloudy over Melbourne tomorrow with showers and thunderstorms developing as we head into the afternoon and the evening. Storms could be severe around the ranges and feeling humid as most spots reach for the mid-20s. Here in the city, it is a Tuesday high of 26 degrees, humid with showers and storms developing. And then looking ahead, there'll be more showers and storms on Wednesday, humid and 27. A shower or two for Thursday, 22 degrees. And then we enter that hot, dry stretch, a top of 27 on Friday, 29 on Saturday, Sunday and also on Monday, and that's good beach weather, Mike.
Oh, about time,
It
Son.
is.
Thank you. And that's 7 News for this New Year's Day. Thanks for your company. For now, from the 7 News team, Happy New Year. Good night.
Stream 7 News anytime, live and on demand on 7plus. And with 7news.com.au, you'll know the news now.